Before we start, let me ask you something that might sound dramatic, but is absolutely critical. Do you want to live 30 more healthy years after 60? Or are you unknowingly consuming something every single night that's quietly stealing years from your life? Because here's a truth that most people never realize. The things you put into your body in the hours before sleep have a more profound impact on your longevity than almost anything else you do during the day. And the scientific research on this is absolutely shocking. What if I told you that millions of people over 60 are consuming what researchers are now calling slow-acting poisons before bed? Substances that don't kill you overnight but silently destroy your sleep quality, accelerate cellular aging, increase your risk of death by as much as 34%, and shorten the protective caps on your chromosomes that determine how long you live. And what if I told you that you're probably consuming at least one, maybe two, maybe even 3 or 4 of these poisons right now without realizing it? Sounds alarming, right? But stay with me because the science behind this is rock solid, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what these poisons are, how they're destroying your health at the cellular level, why the hours before sleep are the most critical time to protect your longevity, and most importantly, what you can do starting tonight to eliminate these poisons and potentially add decades of healthy life. This isn't speculation. This is based on groundbreaking research published in 2025 and 2026 from institutions like Harvard Medical School, the National Institutes of Health, The Lancet, and major longevity research centers around the world. Studies involving hundreds of thousands of people followed for decades, revealing connections between nighttime habits and mortality that are impossible to ignore. In fact, you'll discover the exact substances you need to eliminate from your evening routine, the precise timing that matters, what to replace them with, and what results you can expect week by week as your body begins to heal and regenerate. So don't skip ahead. The most important part comes near the end, where I reveal the complete evening longevity protocol that could literally add years, maybe decades, to your life. And before we dive in, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now, subscribe if you're new to this channel, and drop a comment below telling me where you're watching from and what your biggest health goal is after 60. Is it more energy? Better sleep? Living independently as long as possible? I read every comment, and I love connecting with people around the world who are serious about extending their health span. All right, let's start by understanding why what you do before bed matters more than you ever imagined. Let's be completely honest about something most people don't understand. Sleep is not just rest. Sleep is when your body performs the majority of its repair, regeneration, and detoxification processes. During the hours you're asleep, your body is working harder than you realize to keep you alive and healthy. Your brain is clearing out toxic waste products that accumulated during the day through a process called the glymphatic system. Your immune system is ramping up production of infection-fighting cells and antibodies. Your muscles and tissues are being repaired at the cellular level. Your hormones are being balanced and regulated. Your metabolism is being reset for the next day. Your cardiovascular system is getting a much-needed rest and recovery period. And perhaps most importantly, your cells are repairing DNA damage and fighting the hallmarks of aging. But here's the critical part that changes everything. All of these restorative processes depend on the quality of your sleep. And the quality of your sleep depends almost entirely on what you put into your body in the 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. A groundbreaking meta-analysis published in March 2025 in a leading aging journal analyzed data from over 70,000 elderly individuals followed for up to 35 years. The findings were stark and undeniable. People with consistently poor sleep had a 14% increased risk of death from all causes if they slept less than 7 hours per night. But even more alarming, people who slept more than 9 hours, often a sign of poor quality fragmented sleep, had a 34% increased risk of mortality. Let that sink in for a moment. 34% higher risk of death simply from imbalanced sleep patterns. The researchers identified multiple biological pathways through which poor sleep accelerates aging and increases mortality. Chronic sleep deprivation triggers increased oxidative stress, meaning your cells are being damaged by free radicals faster than your body can repair them. It causes heightened systemic inflammation, the root cause of virtually every age-related disease from heart disease to cancer to Alzheimer's. It accelerates cellular senescence, the process where your cells stop dividing and start secreting inflammatory molecules that damage surrounding tissues. It disrupts your metabolism, leading to insulin resistance, weight gain, and diabetes. And it causes adverse epigenetic changes, literally altering how your genes are expressed in ways that promote disease and shorten lifespan. Another study published in January 2026 in eBiomedicine, one of the Lancet family journals, found that poor sleep health is associated with older brain age. People with poor sleep literally have brains that look and function like they're several years older than their chronological age. The study concluded that poor sleep may be a major risk factor for the development of dementia and cognitive decline. But here's what most people don't realize. The primary cause of poor sleep in people over 60 is not aging itself. It's what they're consuming before bed. Because certain substances and behaviors in the evening hours directly sabotage every single one of those restorative processes I just mentioned. They prevent you from falling asleep quickly. They fragment your sleep so you wake up multiple times. They suppress your deep sleep and REM sleep, the stages where the most critical repair happens. They alter your hormones in ways that promote disease. And they accelerate biological aging at the cellular level. So before I reveal what these poisons are, I want you to understand something crucial. If you're over 60 and you want to live to 90, to 100, to beyond, with your mind sharp, your body functional, and your independence intact, eliminating these nighttime poisons is not optional. It's absolutely essential. And in the next section, I'm going to expose the first and perhaps most dangerous poison that millions of people consume every single night, often without even thinking about it. Now let's talk about the first poison, and this one is so common, so socially acceptable, and so deeply embedded in our culture that most people don't even realize it's killing them slowly. I'm talking about sugar consumed in the hours before bed. And the scientific research on this is absolutely damning. A study published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine examined the relationship between added sugar intake and sleep quality in adults. The findings were clear and alarming. High added sugar consumption, particularly in the evening, was significantly associated with poor sleep quality. But it gets worse. The study detailed exactly how sugar destroys your health when consumed before bed. It increases risk of heart disease by promoting inflammation and oxidative damage to your cardiovascular system. It dramatically raises diabetes risk by causing insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction. It increases cancer risk by feeding cancer cells and promoting an inflammatory environment where tumors thrive. It accelerates skin and cellular aging by a process called glycation, where sugar molecules bind to proteins in your cells, causing them to become stiff and dysfunctional. It worsens cognitive function and increases risk of dementia. It harms your kidneys, your liver, and virtually every organ system in your body. Now, why is sugar before bed particularly dangerous? Because of the timing. When you consume sugar in the evening, several things happen that don't occur when you eat it earlier in the day. First, your body's insulin sensitivity is naturally lower in the evening. This means your pancreas has to produce more insulin to handle the same amount of sugar, putting enormous stress on your metabolic system. Research published in the journal Clinical Endocrinology showed that glucose tolerance decreases by up to 50% in the evening compared to morning, meaning evening sugar consumption causes much higher and more prolonged blood sugar spikes. Second, sugar consumption before bed suppresses growth hormone production. Growth hormone is one of your body's most important anti-aging and repair hormones. It's released in pulses during deep sleep and is responsible for tissue repair, muscle maintenance, fat metabolism, and cellular regeneration. When you eat sugar before bed, your elevated insulin levels directly inhibit growth hormone secretion. This means your body can't perform the critical repair work it needs to do overnight. Third, sugar disrupts your sleep architecture. Multiple studies have shown that high sugar intake reduces the amount of deep slow-wave sleep you get and increases sleep fragmentation. You might fall asleep initially because sugar can cause a temporary energy crash, but then your blood sugar drops in the middle of the night, causing you to wake up. Your sleep becomes light and non-restorative. You wake up feeling exhausted even if you spent 8 hours in bed. Fourth, sugar feeds the wrong gut bacteria. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays a critical role in sleep quality, immune function, and longevity. When you eat sugar before bed, you're feeding pathogenic bacteria and yeast that produce inflammatory compounds and neurotoxins. These compounds enter your bloodstream during the night and interfere with sleep quality and promote systemic inflammation. So what counts as sugar before bed? It's not just obvious sources like desserts, cookies, ice cream, and candy. It's also seemingly innocent foods like sweetened yogurt, granola, dried fruit, juice, flavored milk, energy bars, and even certain whole grain crackers and cereals that contain hidden added sugars. It's that late-night snack of crackers with jam, that bowl of cereal before bed, that glass of juice, that piece of fruit with honey. All of these spike your blood sugar at the worst possible time. The cut-off time is critical. Research shows that consuming significant amounts of sugar or high glycemic carbohydrates within 3 to 4 hours of bedtime has the most detrimental effects. Your last meal of the day should be low in sugar and refined carbohydrates and should be finished at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. Now, before I reveal the second poison, I want to pause here and ask you to do something important. If you're finding this information valuable and eye-opening, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Are you consuming sugar before bed? What evening snacks or drinks are you going to eliminate after watching this? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment and I'll answer as many questions as I can. Now let's talk about the second poison, one that many people actually believe helps them sleep better, but the science tells a completely different story. The second poison is alcohol, and this might be the most misunderstood substance when it comes to sleep and longevity. Millions of people over 60 have a glass of wine, a beer, or a cocktail before bed thinking it helps them relax and sleep better. And yes, alcohol does have a sedative effect that can make you fall asleep faster initially. But what happens after you fall asleep is where the real damage occurs. A comprehensive longitudinal study published in 2022 followed thousands of twins over 36 years, examining the relationship between alcohol consumption and sleep quality. The findings were striking and definitive. Moderate, heavy, and binge drinking all predicted poor sleep quality later in life. The association was not bidirectional, meaning alcohol caused poor sleep, but poor sleep did not cause increased alcohol use. And critically, the negative effects of alcohol on sleep were not fully explained by genetics or family environment, meaning alcohol itself was directly damaging sleep quality. The study concluded that long-term alcohol consumption in adulthood predicts decreased sleep quality, thereby increasing the risk of developing chronic sleep problems and affecting overall health and longevity. Another study published in April 2025 examined the acute physiological effects of alcohol on sleep using wearable technology. The researchers found that even moderate doses of alcohol, just 1 to 2 drinks, significantly disrupted sleep in multiple ways. Alcohol reduced REM sleep by approximately 10 to 15 minutes per night. REM sleep is critical for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and brain health. Chronic REM suppression is linked to cognitive decline and increased dementia risk. Alcohol increased heart rate during sleep by an average of 5 to 8 beats per minute. This means your cardiovascular system is working harder all night instead of resting and recovering. Over years and decades, this increased cardiac workload contributes to heart disease and shortened lifespan. Alcohol fragmented sleep, causing more frequent awakenings and transitions between sleep stages, even if people didn't consciously remember waking up. This fragmentation prevents the deep restorative sleep your body needs. But the most damaging effect of alcohol before bed is what it does to your metabolism and cellular repair processes. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation showed that consuming alcohol in the evening, even just 2 to 3 hours before bed, causes several metabolic disruptions. It induces nocturnal glucose intolerance, meaning your body's ability to handle any carbohydrates you ate with your evening meal is severely impaired. This leads to higher blood sugar levels throughout the night, promoting inflammation and glycation damage. It reduces fatty acid oxidation, meaning your body burns less fat during sleep and stores more. This contributes to weight gain, fatty liver disease, and metabolic syndrome. It increases cortisol levels during sleep. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and it should be at its lowest during the night. Elevated nighttime cortisol disrupts the entire hormonal balance your body needs for repair and regeneration. It impairs the glymphatic system, your brain's waste clearance system that operates primarily during sleep. When this system doesn't work properly, toxic proteins like beta amyloid accumulate in your brain, dramatically increasing Alzheimer's risk. The study also found that people who naturally go to bed earlier, so-called early chronotypes, were particularly vulnerable to the metabolic damage caused by alcohol before bed. If you're someone who naturally feels sleepy around 9 or 10 p.m., consuming alcohol in the evening has an even more pronounced negative effect on your metabolism and sleep quality. Now, here's what the research says about timing and amount. Any alcohol consumption within 4 hours of bedtime significantly disrupts sleep quality. The more you drink and the closer to bedtime, the worse the effects. Even small amounts, 1 drink for women or 2 for men, have measurable negative impacts when consumed in the evening. And the effects are cumulative. 1 night of alcohol-disrupted sleep might not seem like much, but when repeated night after night, year after year, the damage to your sleep quality, metabolic health, and longevity compounds exponentially. If you're serious about living 30 more years after 60, eliminating alcohol in the evening, especially within 4 hours of bedtime, is non-negotiable. If you choose to drink, do it earlier in the day, ideally with lunch or early dinner, and limit it to moderate amounts. But the best choice for longevity is to eliminate it entirely or reserve it for rare special occasions. Now let's move on to the third poison, and this one is probably in your kitchen right now. The third poison is late-night eating, and specifically, eating within 3 hours of bedtime. A groundbreaking study published in Nature in 2024 tracked the eating patterns and mortality outcomes of thousands of people over many years. The findings were sobering. Night eating, defined as consuming food between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., was associated with significantly increased risk of death from all causes, from cancer and from diabetes. The later the timing of night eating, the higher the mortality risk. The study found that eating between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. was particularly dangerous, showing the highest association with mortality. But even eating between 10 and 11 p.m. increased risk, compared to not eating at night at all. However, and this is important, when people ate earlier, before 11 p.m., or when they consumed low-energy density foods like vegetables rather than high-calorie processed foods, the excess mortality risk was reduced. Why is late-night eating so dangerous? Multiple biological mechanisms are at play. First, it disrupts your circadian rhythm. Your body's internal clock regulates thousands of processes based on the light-dark cycle. Your digestive system, your metabolism, your hormone production, All of these are meant to be active during the day and to rest and repair at night. When you eat late, you're forcing your digestive system to work when it should be resting. This creates a mismatch between your behavior and your biological programming, and over time, this circadian disruption accelerates aging and disease. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology examined exactly what happens when people eat dinner late versus early. Participants ate the exact same meal, same calories, same nutrients, but one group ate at 6 p.m. and the other at 10 p.m. The differences were dramatic. The late dinner group had peak glucose levels that were 18% higher than the early dinner group. Their blood sugar stayed elevated for hours longer, indicating severely impaired glucose metabolism. They experienced a delay in the clearance of triglycerides, fats in the blood. This means fat stayed in their bloodstream longer, promoting arterial plaque formation and cardiovascular disease. Their fatty acid oxidation, fat burning, was significantly reduced. Instead of burning fat during sleep, they were storing it. Their cortisol levels during sleep were elevated, indicating a stressed metabolic state rather than rest and recovery. And perhaps most concerning, these effects were even more pronounced in people who naturally go to bed early. The study concluded that eating late induces overnight glucose intolerance and reduces fat mobilization and oxidation, potentially increasing the risk of obesity, diabetes, and metabolic syndrome. And when these conditions become chronic, they dramatically shorten lifespan. Another study showed that late-night eating was positively correlated with hemoglobin A1C, a marker of long-term blood sugar control, fasting glucose, and oral glucose tolerance. All of these markers are strong predictors of mortality risk. The worse your glucose control, the shorter your lifespan. So what's the solution? Finish your last meal of the day at least 3 hours, ideally 4 hours, before you go to bed. If you normally go to bed at 10 p.m., finish dinner by 6 or 7 p.m. If you go to bed at 11 p.m., finish by 7 or 8 p.m. If you genuinely feel hungry before bed, and this can happen especially if you're very active or have specific metabolic needs, choose a very small portion of a low-glycemic, nutrient-dense food. A handful of nuts, a small piece of cheese, some vegetable sticks with hummus. But avoid anything high in sugar, refined carbs, or large in portion size. The 3 to 4 hour window gives your body time to digest your food, stabilize your blood sugar, and shift into repair mode before sleep. This simple timing change can have profound effects on your metabolism, your sleep quality, and your longevity. Now let's talk about the fourth poison, and this one is consumed by tens of millions of people every evening without a second thought. The fourth poison is caffeine, and the science on this is crystal clear and shocking. A landmark study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine tested the effects of 400 milligrams of caffeine, about 2 to 3 cups of coffee, consumed at bedtime, 3 hours before bedtime, or 6 hours before bedtime. The results stunned even the researchers. Caffeine consumed 6 hours before bedtime still significantly disrupted sleep, reducing total sleep time by more than 1 hour compared to placebo. Let me repeat that because it's so important. Even when caffeine was consumed at 2 or 3 p.m., if bedtime was at 9 p.m., it still reduced sleep by over an hour. And the participants often didn't even realize their sleep was being disrupted. Subjectively, some felt they slept fine, but objective measurements showed their sleep was fragmented, lighter, and less restorative. The study concluded that these findings provide empirical support for sleep hygiene recommendations to refrain from substantial caffeine use for a minimum of 6 hours prior to bedtime. But here's what makes this even more concerning for people over 60. As you age, your body metabolizes caffeine more slowly. The half-life of caffeine, the time it takes for half of it to be cleared from your system, increases with age. A 20-year-old might metabolize caffeine in 3 to 5 hours, but a 70-year-old might take 6 to 8 hours or even longer, especially if they have liver function decline or take certain medications. This means that afternoon coffee, that 3 p.m. pick-me-up, that after-dinner espresso, is still circulating in your system at bedtime, blocking adenosine receptors in your brain that signal sleepiness, preventing you from falling asleep quickly, reducing your deep sleep and REM sleep, and fragmenting your sleep throughout the night. And remember, every hour of lost or poor quality sleep accelerates biological aging and increases mortality risk. Another study examining chronic caffeine consumption found that daily caffeine intake, even during morning and afternoon hours only, can impair nighttime sleep structure and reduce sleep intensity over time. The effect is cumulative. One day of caffeine might not ruin your sleep, but months and years of daily caffeine consumption create a chronic sleep debt that you never fully recover from. This chronic sleep deprivation then triggers all the aging pathways we discussed earlier: oxidative stress, inflammation, cellular senescence, metabolic dysfunction, and shortened telomeres. So what's the solution? If you're serious about longevity, eliminate all caffeine after noon. Better yet, if you're very sensitive or have any sleep issues, eliminate it after 10 a.m. And if you're willing to optimize fully, consider eliminating caffeine entirely and allowing your body to produce energy naturally through proper sleep, nutrition, and circadian rhythm alignment. I know this might sound extreme, but the science is undeniable. Caffeine consumption, particularly in the afternoon and evening, is stealing years from your life by destroying the quality of your sleep. Now, before we continue, I need to pause and ask you to take action. If this information is opening your eyes to habits you didn't realize were harmful, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content. And please, leave a comment below telling me which of these poisons you're currently consuming and which one you're going to eliminate first. Your comment might inspire someone else to make a life-saving change. Now let's talk about the fifth poison, and this one isn't a food or drink, but it's just as deadly. The fifth poison is blue light exposure from screens before bed, and the research on this is overwhelming. Blue light, the type of light emitted by smartphones, tablets, computers, and televisions, has a wavelength that directly suppresses the production of melatonin, your body's master sleep hormone. A study published in 2021 found that just 2 hours of evening blue light exposure caused an average circadian phase delay of 1.1 hours. This means people's internal clocks were shifted later, making them feel awake when they should feel sleepy. Research on college students showed that exposure to an LED tablet for 2 hours before bed caused a 55% decrease in melatonin levels and an average melatonin onset delay of 1.5 hours compared to reading a printed book under low light. Think about what this means. If your natural melatonin surge should start at 9 p.m. to prepare you for sleep at 10 p.m., but you're looking at screens until 9:30 p.m., your melatonin doesn't start rising until 10:30 p.m., meaning you don't feel sleepy until 11 or later. But the damage goes far beyond just delayed sleep. Chronic melatonin suppression has been linked to increased cancer risk, particularly breast and prostate cancer. Melatonin is a powerful antioxidant that protects your cells from oxidative damage and helps regulate cell division. When melatonin levels are chronically low, your cancer risk increases significantly. Studies have shown that shift workers who are exposed to light at night and have suppressed melatonin have dramatically higher rates of cancer. Melatonin suppression also accelerates brain aging. A meta-analysis of research on students found that over 4 hours of daily blue light device use predicted poor sleep outcomes, including low efficiency, daytime dysfunction, irregular timing, and increased sleep latency. And remember, poor sleep accelerates every marker of biological aging we've discussed. The good news is that interventions work. A randomized controlled study found that both blue light blocking glasses and complete screen abstinence for 1 week resulted in sleep onset and wake-up times occurring 20 minutes earlier and a significant reduction in reported sleep problems among frequent screen users. So what's the solution? Implement a strict screen curfew. Stop all screen use at least 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. If you must use screens, wear blue light blocking glasses that filter out the specific wavelengths that suppress melatonin. Dim all lights in your home in the evening. Use warm-colored bulbs, orange or red spectrum, instead of bright white or blue-tinted lights. Consider using blackout curtains to ensure your bedroom is completely dark during sleep. And expose yourself to bright natural light, especially blue rich morning sunlight, as soon as you wake up. This helps set your circadian rhythm properly and makes it easier to fall asleep at night. These simple changes can restore your natural melatonin production, improve your sleep quality, and reduce your biological aging rate significantly. Now let's talk about the sixth and final poison, and then I'll give you the complete protocol to eliminate all of them and add years to your life. The sixth poison is ultra-processed foods consumed any time in the day, but especially in the evening. These are foods that have been heavily processed, stripped of nutrients, and loaded with additives, preservatives, artificial colors, flavors, and unhealthy fats. Think packaged snacks, frozen dinners, processed meats, sugary cereals, instant noodles, packaged baked goods, and most fast food. A study published in December 2024 found that a diet rich in ultra-processed foods was associated with an acceleration of biological aging in a large sample of Italian adults. The researchers measured biological age using advanced biomarkers and found that people who consumed the most ultra-processed foods had bodies that were aging faster than their chronological age. Another study published in May 2025 confirmed that consumption of ultra-processed foods accelerates age-related biochemical changes, including oxidative stress, inflammation, and gut dysbiosis. Oxidative stress damages your cells and DNA. Inflammation drives virtually every chronic disease. And gut dysbiosis, an imbalance in your gut bacteria, impairs immune function, mood, sleep, and metabolism. The study found that ultra-processed foods increase inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6 in the bloodstream. These inflammatory molecules circulate throughout your body, causing damage to your arteries, your brain, your joints, and every organ system. They also accelerate cellular senescence, the process where cells stop dividing and start secreting toxic compounds. Senescent cells accumulate with age and are a major driver of aging and age-related diseases. When you consume ultra-processed foods in the evening, you're compounding the damage because your body is trying to repair and regenerate during sleep, but instead it's being flooded with inflammatory compounds, oxidative stressors, and metabolic disruptors. Your body spends the night fighting this chemical assault instead of healing and restoring itself. Over years and decades, this chronic evening inflammation destroys your health and shortens your lifespan. The solution? Eliminate ultra-processed foods entirely, or at minimum, avoid them completely in the evening. Your last meal of the day should consist of whole, minimally processed foods. Vegetables, high-quality proteins like wild fish or pasture-raised eggs, healthy fats like olive oil or avocado, and modest amounts of whole grains or starchy vegetables if you tolerate them. These foods provide nutrients that support sleep and cellular repair rather than disrupting them. Now, let me tie all of this together and give you the complete evening longevity protocol. This is what you need to do starting tonight if you want to eliminate these poisons and potentially add decades of healthy life. Step 1. Finish your last meal at least 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Make this meal low in sugar and refined carbohydrates. Focus on vegetables, quality protein, and healthy fats. Avoid ultra-processed foods entirely. Step 2. Eliminate all caffeine after noon. If you have sleep issues, eliminate it after 10 a.m. or consider removing it completely. Step 3. Eliminate alcohol in the evening, especially within 4 hours of bedtime. If you choose to drink, do so earlier in the day and in moderation. Step 4. Implement a strict screen curfew. Stop all screen use 1 to 2 hours before bed. Use blue light blocking glasses if you must use screens. Dim all lights in your home in the evening. Step 5. Create an evening wind-down routine. Spend the last hour or two before bed doing relaxing activities. Read a physical book under warm, dim light. Practice gentle stretching or yoga. Meditate or do deep breathing exercises. Take a warm bath with magnesium salts. Listen to calming music. Spend time in conversation with loved ones. These activities signal to your body that it's time to transition into rest mode. Step 6. Optimize your sleep environment. Keep your bedroom cool, ideally between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Make it completely dark using blackout curtains or an eye mask. Minimize noise or use white noise if needed. Reserve your bed for sleep and intimacy only, not for work or screen time. Step 7. Consider sleep-supporting supplements if needed. Magnesium glycinate 300 to 400 mg taken 1 hour before bed can improve sleep quality and duration. L-theanine 100 to 200 mg promotes relaxation without sedation. Glycine 3 grams can improve sleep quality and reduce the time it takes to fall asleep. Now, what can you expect when you implement this protocol? Week 1, you'll likely notice you fall asleep faster and wake up feeling slightly more refreshed. Your energy during the day may start to improve. Week 2 to 3, sleep quality improves noticeably. You spend more time in deep sleep and REM sleep. Morning grogginess decreases. Mental clarity improves. Week 4 to 8, significant changes occur. Your energy and stamina throughout the day increase substantially. Your mood stabilizes and improves. You may notice weight loss as your metabolism improves. Inflammatory markers in your body decrease. Your immune function strengthens. Beyond 8 weeks, long-term regeneration occurs. Your cellular repair mechanisms work more efficiently. Your biological age, if measured, may start to reverse. Your risk of chronic diseases decreases. Your cognitive function improves and is protected against decline. And most importantly, you're adding healthy years to your life. Research shows that optimizing sleep quality through these interventions can reduce all-cause mortality risk by 15 to 20% or more. In practical terms, this could mean adding 5, 10, or even 15 additional years of healthy life. A recent study published in January 2026 found that small improvements in sleep, combined with improvements in diet and physical activity, were linked with a longer disease-free lifespan. Women in particular benefited significantly, potentially gaining years of healthy life free from chronic disease. But the benefits apply to everyone regardless of gender. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this sounds hard. I've been drinking coffee all day for decades. I always have wine with dinner. I eat late because of my schedule. I need my phone before bed to wind down. I understand. Change is difficult. But I want you to consider this. What's harder? Making some adjustments to your evening routine now? Or spending the last 10 to 20 years of your life in poor health, dependent on others, suffering from preventable diseases, and dying earlier than you could have? The choice is yours. But the science is clear. The poisons you consume before bed are silently stealing years from your life. Eliminating them is one of the most powerful longevity interventions you can make. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, write down your commitment. Open a note on your phone or get a piece of paper and write, I commit to eliminating nighttime poisons from my life. I will finish eating 3 hours before bed. I will eliminate caffeine after noon. I will avoid alcohol in the evening. I will stop screen use 1 to 2 hours before bed. I will create a healthy evening routine that supports longevity. Write today's date and commit. Second, identify which poison is your biggest problem and eliminate it first. Don't try to change everything overnight. Pick the one that's easiest for you to change and start there. Build momentum and add the others gradually. Third, track your sleep and energy. Keep a simple journal noting how you sleep each night and how you feel each day. After 2 weeks, look back and notice the improvements. This will motivate you to continue. Fourth, share this video. If this information helped you, it will help someone you care about. Share it with family and friends who might be consuming these poisons without realizing the consequences. And fifth, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I regularly post science-based content on longevity, health optimization, and disease prevention. The more you learn, the more empowered you become. Before I close, I want you to remember something deeply important. Living 30 more years after 60 is not a fantasy. It's a realistic possibility if you eliminate the habits that are killing you and adopt the habits that support longevity. Your body is remarkably resilient. Even if you've been consuming these poisons for years or decades, when you stop, your body begins to heal. Your sleep improves. Your inflammation decreases. Your cells start repairing themselves more efficiently, and you begin adding healthy years back onto your life. So make the decision right now. Tonight, implement at least one change from this protocol. Tomorrow night, add another. Within a week, you'll have eliminated most or all of these poisons from your evening routine, and within months, you'll feel like a different person. More energized, more vital, more alive. All right, thank you for spending this time with me today. If this video opened your eyes to the hidden dangers in your evening routine, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment below telling me which poison you're eliminating first and what your health goals are. I read every comment and I'll be cheering you on. Remember, the years after 60 can be the best years of your life, full of vitality, purpose, independence, and joy. But only if you protect your health starting now. Eliminate the nighttime poisons. Optimize your sleep. And give your body what it needs to thrive. Your future self will thank you. Stay healthy, stay committed, and I'll see you in the next video.